Hey my friends, today I want to talk to you a little bit about caring for your Rav. And this is an updated video maybe 6 years ago. I did a video talking about care. Things have changed a little bit with the new coatings. The treatment for this newer Rav is different than the treatment for the older style Rav. So we're going to look at the difference in that and also how to take care of the tarnishing of the rim. So let's get into the video. Alright, so thanks to the new coating on these Ravs, we don't really need to worry much about care in terms of oiling. The best advice I can give for keeping them clean is simply to wipe them down with a microfiber cloth. I find ones that aren't as finely fibered are a little bit better because of the texture. It gets stuck on those fibers, so something that's very soft but doesn't grip is a perfect cloth for this instrument. In most cases, you won't need to oil this. If you were to scrape off this layer, you may have to coat it just to prevent any oxidization, but these are protected from rust unless you remove the coating in some capacity. If you do feel the need to coat them, I typically would recommend using either refined coconut oil, and this is just a random brand, this isn't a particular brand, or frog lube. And I prefer the frog lube extreme. But in most cases, you won't have to do that. But if you were to, you just want to apply a small amount, wipe it over the instrument, and that would be it. All right, so the other thing we can do to keep up with our instrument is taking care of the rim. And this sort of copper brass rim will tarnish eventually, like any time you touch this material. This is not a bad thing. Eventually it'll kind of turn this antique brass color, and I personally like that, but I know some people like to keep them shiny. So Rav now sends out this sort of eraser that you only want to make contact with the rim on, but you find the spot that has the tarnishing from your contact and simply erase it. And after rubbing for a couple seconds, it cleans that area. I would recommend moving in the direction of the rim and not rotating because you don't want to scratch it and add swirls to it. And once you've done that section, you just wipe it off with your microfiber cloth and you're all set. Super easy. All right, so for the fans of the older generation or people that have older instruments, these do not have a coating or they have a hydrophilic sort of plastic coating on them. Early instruments up to maybe late 2017, early 2018 had no coating at all, so they need to be oiled frequently. The ones after that had that coating and they were a little more resistant, but I still find I have to coat those instruments. This is not difficult, it's super easy to do. You either have to use that extra virgin or the refined coconut oil or extra virgin coconut oil or frog lube. And there are pros and cons to each of these. I do not like the smell of frog lube, so I try not to use it and I prefer the oil. But you want to start this cleaning with using rubbing alcohol. And the higher percentage rubbing alcohol you use, the better. This happens to be 91%. And you want to apply a small amount to a paper towel and wipe down the surface you want to treat. And again, this is not on the new Ravs, this is the old Ravs with the black rims, just to be clear. So after wiping it down, the oil is going to come off on the towel and any of your finger oils. So you can see them on here. And you'll be able to coat this with oil now. So I tend to use a small dab of the coconut oil, maybe like that much. And you could either apply it directly or you could stick it on top of your piece and rub it together until you can't see any of the chunks on it. And then after that, you're simply wiping it down. Make sure you get every area. And that's it. And you could repeat the same process with the back, making sure you get all the way to the edges here and maybe in between these tongues a tiny bit as well. Most people won't have a rust issue if you're not in a very humid climate, but if you do, then just coating it regularly is perfectly suitable. These don't have a rim as well, so we don't need to worry about coating that. So now that we know how to treat these, old and new, one of the ways we can prevent rust on these older instruments is simply just wiping them down every week. I ideally try to wipe them and clean them every week. I do try to wipe them frequently whenever I think of it. And that's just removing any salts from your skin from staying on this and causing corrosion. Things like salts or acids like vinegar will wear away at this and cause rust. With that said, rust is not the end of your instrument. If you have even a ton of rust, a big bloom of rust from leaving it in the case in a humid place, it's not going to ruin your instrument. It's aesthetic. So do your best to clean it off. There are lots of materials that can help you remove that rust, but most of the time a little bit of alcohol and maybe something vaguely abrasive, maybe a thicker cloth, is enough to scrub it off on these older instruments. So hope that was useful, and happy cleaning. And let me know what other videos or instructions you'd like to see in the future, because I'd love to provide you guys with more material that's useful for you. Talk to you guys soon, and stay well. Bye, guys.